Hello everybody, I've never appeared in a fish tank before, but I'm pleased to be here tonight. My name is Steve, I wasn't quite sure what sort of thing to read out. I've never done this before, but I'll give it a go. The piece I'm going to read out is called Gardening, so it connects rather nicely with the previous speaker. It's not too long, okay, I've timed it, it's about 3.5 minutes. Gardening. My dad grew stuff. There were cucumbers in cold frames, potatoes in rows, beans on frames and strawberries under netting. It kept him out in the garden on Sundays and he'd sweat, exuding that smell I wasn't sure if I liked or I didn't. He worked hard, pushing his spade through the tensions of the soil, and when he'd done enough for the time being, he'd come in and drink pale ale from his glass-bottomed tankard. His mouth worked at the beer, greedy for its refreshment. Sometimes I had a shandy. The summer was his favourite time, and he'd be out there long after sunset with only late roosting blackbirds and moths for company. It wasn't clear to my mum or me what he was doing. The time for avoiding playing football with me had long passed, but the outside light burned long. During the bright hours of the day and witnessing all his endeavours, I fretted and flickered around him, inquiring about plants, taking wheelbarrowfuls to the compost heap, letting worms slide over my fingers, and thinking distractedly about fishing. He often had stuff to burn and encouraged me to build bonfires in hearths constructed of spare bricks and sheets of asbestos for safety. I loved this part and begged potatoes off my mum to torture in the base of the fire. Sometimes when I forgot about them, they would actually cook. I did have one gardening talent though. I could water. Water with the steel watering can for the flowers in the front garden, and water with the hose for the rest. The hose was the best, an endless supply of water and a remit easily able to take in the furthest reaches of the garden. I experimented fearlessly with ways of delivering my contribution to his work, and although he would occasionally object to my more extreme methods, he generally let me get on with it. And let me get on with it is exactly what he did when it came to the question of building a tree house. On one thing he was adamant. I wasn't to build it in the silver birch, far too flimsy, he thought, but I could use the rowan at the front. Prior to the construction, I had big ideas, grand designs which I committed to paper, and he considered without comment. However, due to some restriction in available height, the house turned out to be no more than a platform. I wasn't disappointed though. I could climb up there from the front gate, and when the time of the year allowed, drop red berries on passers-by. So we had different ideas, me and my dad, about gardens. He was scientific and calculating, I was romantic and crass, but we rubbed along. My dad died when he was 62, and the garden was unfinished. And after he had died, it grew wild and untended, until eventually the house was sold and its guardianship passed on. It does not really matter that it was unfinished. That was never the point for either him nor me. What he grew there we ate or admired, and what he plotted there possibly remains in outline, or it doesn't. His legacy is not the landscape he altered, nor the ground he shifted, nor even the plants that strutted briefly upon the earth. It's certainly not the money from his will, which is long spent, and has returned nothing of worth. His legacy is one I'm only just realising now, as I think back to those days of endless sunshine. The garden was, in fact, the true arena of our relationship, the place where we performed the roles of head gardener and under gardener until we became father and son. Thank you.
Well done, Steve.